Welcome everybody to our first digital market update. My name is Marcel Göldner. I'm heading the corporate capital markets business here at Hellerbar, and I'm here today with my colleague Sebastian Knapp, who's from our corporate DCM team. Hi Sebastian.
Hi Marcel, thank you for the introduction.
We've seen kind of a crazy year last year. We saw the first lockdowns all over Europe, and on the other hand we saw record highs and a lot of transactions in the corporate bond market. Now my question to you, Sebastian, is how was 2021 so far? How was the beginning in both Schuldschein and bond markets?
The start to the bond market was indeed very brilliant, we can say. Many of the issuers took advantage of the favorable financing conditions and placed in January about 35 billion euros on the market. In February it was a little bit lower compared to the January. So in total we have about 55 billion euros so far in about 105 transactions. And switch to the Shulchan market. The Shulchan market shows a different picture on this side, because the start was not that good as the fourth quarter of the last year, with 5.4 billion euros marketed and closed. So in total at the moment we see 10 transactions in the market with an overall volume of about 2.3 billion which was shown. And currently there are 2 deals in the marketing process, and one deal with Hellerbar alongside with BNP and DZ.
Okay, very interesting. Now Sebastian has already given us a brief overview over the 2 markets, the Schuldschein and the bond markets. Now let us take a closer look to the bond market. How was the development in the bond market over the recent weeks? What kind of interest did we see, and how was the oversubscription of the books, the new issue concessions?
Yeah. The short answer of the question is that the demand is running very positive and very strong. So we all know that the ECB with its corporate purchase programs have a very strong contribution to that strong demand. And we see that on a chart which we can see here. So the oversubscription rate is on a very high level, with a cover ratio of about 3 or 4 times the final volume, and the new issue concessions are on a very low level, so with about just a little bit below or just a little bit over the 0 point. And the third point is that the tightening of the spreads is in a very wide range. So from IPTs to the final offer, we see often about 25 to 40 basis points.
Yeah. So the overall market is in very good condition. I already mentioned that we saw record highs in 2020 and a lot of transactions, and we already started very well in 2021. We saw the highest number of transactions during the first weeks of January since fall of 2020. So Sebastian, what's your opinion? Where are the markets heading, or the corporate bond market is heading in 2021?
Yes. I think we don't expect that record volumes of the last year with about 460 billion euros, which was very great. So many corporates are cash rich at the moment, and so I think they will concentrate on the replacement of maturing debt, of maturing papers, and will focus on investment programs and the financing of these investment programs. Though I think we can expect a volume of about 300 to 350 billion euros for this year in the corporate bond market.
So let's see. and I will ask you at the end of this year again. Okay, let's switch over to the Shulchan Market. In the Shulchan Market, we saw less transactions and less volumes in 2020 compared to the year before. Was that only driven by COVID, and which issuers may have avoided the market?
Yeah, indeed.
And why?
Yeah, indeed, you name it. 19.5 billion for the last year was a drop of about 30%. Compared to the previous year. So I think the main reason was certainly the Corona crisis. And we saw that on the investor base. The investors concentrated over a long time on their original lending business and acted very cautiously over a long period. And yes, March and April, the activity was very, very low. So this was the Corona crisis. And due to this crisis, we saw not so many international issuers in the market for last year. So the German issuers make about 75% for the last year. And due to the Corona crisis, we didn't see that much newcomers in the market last year. So the proportion was about under 15%, and that's compared to the previous years a very, very low level.
Okay, so less newcomer, less international issuers, and most of the currency or most of the transactions issued in euro currency. So if we take a look at the last few weeks at the beginning of 2021, we saw some international issuers again, we saw some newcomers again, and we saw some transactions in US dollar, for example. So is this a positive signal for the market, and where's the Shulchan market heading over the next month from your perspective?
Yeah. This is a very positive signal for the Shulchan market, and especially for the normalization of the Shulchan market. So you mentioned the newcomers, the international issuers, and the dual currency deals. And we have an example for that. The Jenoptik deal was just launched by us and BNP and DZ. And the Jenoptik deal is offering not only euro denominations, but US dollar tranches too. And by now we can say that this deal is very well received in the market, and the US dollar tranches are very well received too. So that's a very good sign. And when we have a look at the next months in the Shulchan market, or the whole year, a few of the whole year, then I would say a volume of about 20 billion for this year is possible, because there are much tranches to replace for this year, and maybe there's a pickup in M&A transactions, and the financing conditions for the corporates are still very, very good.
So overall, good news for the Shulchan market and interesting developments at the beginning of 2021. Thank you for the interesting insights at the Shulchan market. So we are already here at the end of our interview. Just one more last question. It's ESG and green. That's a topic that's all over the market. And I would be interested in the demand from the issuers and investors' perspective regarding green and ESG products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And I think the awareness of the sustainability issue is anchored in all parts of our life. So in the financial markets, we are in touch with this topic for a long time now. And I think this topic is not only a nice to have, but I think this is an absolute game changer for the financial markets and for the Shulchan market and bond market too. We as Hellerberg conducted a survey among SSD investors on the topic of sustainability. And the results of this survey are very interesting and determine the importance of this topic in the end. So, for example, a majority of investors think that issuers with ESG-related transactions are, on the one hand, more sustainable and, on the other hand, more successful in the long term. And on top, the investors are prepared to grant these issuers a discount in the spread range. So that's a very interesting point. And on the issuer side, let's switch to this topic. Yes, we don't see a pitch without the topics of green, social, and ESG-linked Schuldscheindarlehen. So that's very, very important. And with a short view on the market, the last year we saw 13% of the issuances with an ESG background. And this year it is the most of the volume, over the half of the volume, in relation with sustainable Schuldschein transactions. So it is a very, very interesting topic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Sebastian, for sharing these interesting insights with us. I hope you enjoyed our short market update, our short interview. Thanks again. We will be back the next time at April, at the beginning or mid-April, together with our research department to share some insights of the first quarter of the Shulchan market and the bond market. So far, stay safe and hope to see you again in April.